So part two of I quit my job. So I quit my job. I'm driving for a company right now. And this is the thing about driving over the road. Even if and when you quit your job, then what? As an over-the-road trucker, I've quit my job several times as an over-the-road trucker. The first time I quit a company that had me very far away from home, I quit CRST while I was in Colorado. But I love Colorado. I want to move to Colorado. So CRST is a team company. And I was a pretty new driver with CRST, but I had already finished my contract. I had taken a contract with CRST. I work for CFI right now, and I just quit them. You know, that's the cool thing about quitting a company. I quit this company, and now I have my story, and there's nothing that they could say about that. When you work for a trucking company, nowadays these trucking companies have cameras in the truck recording you and you're recording them. Well, you could record as well. I got all kind of cameras in this truck. And one of these days, if and when I could retire, I could take all my footage that I've collected and made over the years and show y'all what the life of an outlaw is like. But I quit this job, and now I'm trying to get another trucking job, but it has to pay much better. The trucking company I just got off the phone with, they only gonna give me the same thing that this company is. Well, we gonna see. We gonna see what they gonna give me. They might give me 60 cents a mile. I've been with CFI. I gave them a 2-week notice. So by the time that 2-week notice is up, that means I will have driven for CFI for 6 months, just over 6 months. Which is good. And then I'm going to go do Uber for a little while. But I drive. That's what I do. I drive. I've spent more hours driving than I've spent more hours walking. And I've spent a lot of hours walking. And I'm thinking about going for flatbed. Because flatbed generally pays the best. I might even go to Western Express after I leave here. But yeah, I gave them a 2-week notice. This company, I applied for Southwest Regional job. These motherfuckers, not only do they not keep me in the Southwest, but the majority of the time that I've been here, they've been having me drive a little bitty in the Southeast. They've been having me drive like circles around the Southeast. I live in Texas. I was born and raised in Chicago. These days I live in Texas. That's all the Central Time Zone. I don't like being east of the Central Time Zone. I just don't. I don't mind doing it for work. I don't mind doing it if it's my job. And with any trucking company I work with, I'm a reasonable dude. If they kept me on the East Coast, sometimes that will be understandable. But the fact that they try to hire me out of Texas and try to keep me east, that shit pisses me off because the cost of living up east is much higher than it is down south. So you try to hire cheap employees to work in an expensive place? No, I'm not going for that personally. Now, I wouldn't tell other truckers to have that attitude and that mentality because I've driven plenty in the east. You know, you got to get your experience. And your first 2 years, you should have a very apprentice mindset. I'm sure my lips are ashy right now. And I look rough, but it's okay. I haven't been to a shower in a couple days. And that's because of this situation my company has me in. Now, I'm not the type of driver to just drive to a rest stop if it's too far. I will use my personal conveyance. And in this situation, like my company dumb as fuck if they let me quit. They should give me my company should give me like at least a 5-cent raise to keep me. when they don't really need to give me a raise, all they got to do is have me drive in the region of the company I said I would drive in. They keep sending me these messages, you are SMS, but sometimes we'll send you out of your region. I get that. I'm a reasonable dude. Sometimes is one thing. Most of the fucking time is a completely different thing. Prison is good for young men. Most of these young punks these days, they need to go to prison. And this is from a dude who went to prison. That's what a lot of y'all need, is fucking prison. Some niggas need college, some niggas need prison. And I'm not being racial when I say niggas. I am a nigga, so I get to say that, born and raised. And I always be a nigga. Once a nigga, nigga for life. If you born a nigga, you a nigga for life. If you born in a situation where those people look down on you, they'll always look down on you. So don't ever give a fuck about them, and that could be your superpower. Fuck the world. That's what the Bible tries to teach you in the first place. The Bible, the whole message of the Bible, if I was to sum the Bible up in one sentence, that one sentence would be fuck the world. That's the very first lesson you get in Genesis, and that's the very last message that you get in Revelations. Fuck the world. You got to think outside the world, and most things in the world, most people in the world will try to drag you down to hell. Yes, this is all God's creation, but most of God's creation doesn't want to obey him. That's what you get from the first few chapters of Genesis. Fuck the world. Yes, I created most people, but most people will never obey God. Bible study right now. Church. That's church. I'm not even bullshitting. If you have a problem with what I just said, I seriously doubt that you've read the entire Bible. Or maybe you just don't understand my language. But this is why my Bible study will be Blasphemous Bible study. And this is the perfect time to do my first Blasphemous Bible study. Driving in this beautiful area. I'm in, I don't even know where the fuck I'm at. I'm in South Carolina or something like that. But I'm someplace I'm not supposed to be. I told my oldest son's mother the day that I quit. She the first person I told. Well, no, I told my biological mom too. But I quit. I gave him a 2-week notice, this company that I'm with right now. And I don't expect him to fuck me over. Companies do that a lot of times. When you're with a trucking company and you give them a 2-week notice, they will fuck you on that last 2 weeks. And it's not just trucking companies, but companies in general. When you quit a company and they don't want you to quit, they'll oftentimes make your last week very rough. They're going to make you want to walk out. They're going to try to make you walk out. They're going to try to have an excuse to withhold some of your check or put you in a situation where you can't quit. But the same with relationships. A lot of women and a lot of men will do that to you if you try to break up with them. And this could be sexually, this could be business, this could be buddies, this could be friends, this could be family. When you tell somebody, I don't want to see you anymore, it's a good chance that they gonna pull a pin and go out on like some suicide mission. They gonna blow everything up, they gonna crash out. And they might even want to fight you, even if they know that you could win, because they'll have an excuse. Might even be able to get your ass locked up. Women do that all the time. I was watching a video of Abin Preach today, and they was talking about this video. They was reacting to this video, and I should react to this video because I've had that experience so many times. You try to tell a woman goodbye forever, and she end up hitting you with some domestic charges. It's happened to me 2 or 3 times on the record. Real life, arrested, facing charges, in jail. gotta beat these cases or get these cases behind me and off me some way, somehow. And that's the fucked up thing about our justice system. When you get arrested and all the evidence is on your favor, the prosecution will negotiate with you and give you time served and dismiss those charges and take it off your record. And that's oftentimes a deal that you can't resist if you don't have the money and the means to do that. Money and means. Having money behind you or having a team behind you, a family that actually has a brain and gives a fuck about you. A lot of times family is more of a burden than they are a help. I got multiple baby mamas, and I'm going to talk about some of my baby mamas now. I got one baby mama. The first time we had plenty of arguments back and forth, but in most of those arguments, I was the one that was almost too fed up and almost out the door. But with this baby mama, she had see, I'm driving, I got distracted by the road, I forgot where I was at. But this baby mama, what was I gonna say about one of my baby mamas? Oh, she got mad at me because I told her she has to stop being a financial burden to me. I said, you have to stop being a financial burden to me. You have to figure out a way to be more of a financial asset. And I had offered and recommended several books for her to read to understand this. I had bought her a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. She wouldn't read it. She never would read it.
Ahead, stay on
For a guy like me, so in this particular baby mama as well, there was nothing but red flags all throughout our relationship. I broke up with her like 2 weeks in, but I kept coming back. So that's one reason that I like that one red pillar. I can't think of his name. But he always tells people, he tells people to not be in desperation, or I can't think of how he says it, but it's one of his reasons for validating having a rotation. He suggests that all men have a rotation, and I don't believe in the whole rotation thing. It's counterproductive. And I'm at an age in my life, I want to get married. And the main reason I never got married is because no girl has ever given me her virginity. So just reasonably speaking, no woman should expect me to marry her if she wouldn't give me her virginity. Just reasonably speaking, arguing in the court of law, why would I offer you a ring? Why would I give you a ring? Why would I take 1/3 of my yearly earnings and buy you a ring and ask you to marry me and likely pay for the wedding? Because these days, fathers don't be paying for the weddings that often. Often that's not an option. But even if it is, marriage is so dumb anyway. As a man, it's not illogical. What benefit does it do a man besides sexual benefits and having constant access to sex? But for you to even think that is a deal, you have to be a man who thinks that sex is such an uneven thing. But you don't think that if you're very sexually experienced. And I grew up born and raised in Chicago, in the crowded part of Chicago. Girlfriends was never hard to come by. And sex was even easier to come by than a girlfriend where I grew up. I grew up around a lot of crack and a lot of prostitution. In neighborhoods where they sell a lot of crack, 9 times out of 10, they probably sell a lot of pussy too. And I grew up around that. And I saw that. I saw the bad side about it. Another reason that I can never be cool with the pimping stuff.
1.7 miles ahead. Stay on South Carolina
I seen the ugliest sides of that and the ugliest shades of that in the mean streets of Chicago back in the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. I didn't see much in the 1970s. I was born in the late 70s, so I was a baby in the 70s. But I had done and seen and experienced most things that most humans would never see by the time I was 5. It's another reason that the red pill, I can never be red pill and I can never like them dudes. They always talk that Pookie and Ray Ray shit. Disrespecting dudes that come from the bottom of the food chain, but they somehow make it. Pookie and Ray Ray, that's a term of endearment and respect. At this point, because
1
these
mile
red
ahead,
pill dudes
stay on South
with their
Carolina
goofy asses
72 West Union Street
have
is in Bears
disrespected
right.
and put down these Pookie and Ray Ray so much that you got to really look at it. You know, most of these dudes they call Pookie and Ray Ray, they're more of a man by the age of 16, 17, 18 than most of these red pill dudes are, who are basically men who are perpetually having a midlife crisis. And some of these dudes start their midlife crisis early just because they didn't socialize themselves well and they never knew how to socialize and date and play the game. In the mating game and the dating game, terms that have been around longer than I have, you know, it is what it is. And one of the unfortunate things about being a Pookie or Ray Ray, to be a young boy in the hood, growing up in an environment, you know, that's one of the things about Pookie Ray Ray. The moment that you're born on the run. One reason that you do grow up faster, you do grow up more mature, you are, when you, I moved around a lot as a kid because we often became homeless as a child. So I went from school to school to school to school. Oh shit, is this the right way?
16.2 miles ahead, stay on South Carolina 72 West Ring Road as it turns left.
I've been driving professionally for over 20 years. So that's one reason that me recording while I'm driving and talking and vlogging, it's not the same as you. This is one thing. So my oldest son is driving now. And I used to tell my son so many things. You know, for my son, driving is going to be second nature, especially my oldest son, because me and his mother both drive a lot. My son, my oldest son, he probably spent more time sleeping in vehicles than he spent sleeping in his crib his first 2 years of life. Because my son, my oldest son, has experienced that transient shit that's in me, that's on me. Fathers are very good for so many reasons. I'm not anti-father. I don't agree with these red pill dudes that a bad father is better than no father. And I don't knock these single mothers. If anything, I appreciate these single mothers for stepping up to the plate and being hard in times when men are being soft. And things got to balance themselves out. I don't know what I was talking about earlier because I'm driving and I done gone through so many different places that I don't know where the hell I'm at right now. And I'm seeing all this beautiful scenery. I don't normally drive this far east. I'm somewhere on the East Coast. But it's so beautiful. It's beautiful in ways that I'm not used to seeing. This scenery is so nice to me. Parents, growing up in the hood, your mama often say things to you like, do as I say, not as I do. And you don't necessarily have to grow up in the hood to have had that, to have had a mother that says bullshit like that. Because it's really bullshit. What that's saying is don't call me out on my hypocrisy. But real talk, don't call your parents out on their hypocrisy. Because you don't fucking know and it ain't none of your business. You know, who knows why your parent is telling you to do something, to not do something that they used to do themselves. They're probably telling you, don't fucking learn the hard way like I did. Don't learn the hard way like I did. Don't learn the hard way like I did. You know, I got a lot of hypocrisy. And if you believe in the Bible and you believe in Jesus, I consider myself a Messianic Jew and I believe in the Bible. I read the Bible cover to cover several times, but mostly when I was locked up at the age of 18. I read the entire Bible cover to cover. I started at 18, finished when I was 19. and got released soon on probation. So I read the entire Bible early in life, and I didn't go to college. But that's something to think about. Here I am, 19 years old, fresh out of jail. I haven't been to college, but I have read the entire Bible cover to cover. Most college graduates can't say that. And boy, did that do a lot for me reading the Bible cover to cover. Reading the Bible cover to cover is probably more and better education than going to college. One of the problems with going to college is that, so the Bible, if you think the Bible is too hard to read in a year, don't even bother going to college. Because could you imagine reading a college textbook cover to cover? How about imagining this? You pay $40,000. Your poor parents pay $40,000 for you to go to college, and you don't read your college books cover to cover. Most Americans who go to college don't read their college books cover to cover. Not only do they not read their college books cover to cover, they barely read any of those college books. While I was in prison later on in life, after that 18, 19-year-old period, when I was about 25, 26, so I was about 26, 27, when I got a hold of Psychology 101, a college textbook, while I was in prison. This is like 5, 6, 7 years after I read the entire Bible cover to cover. Now I decide, while I'm in prison, to read this college book cover to cover. Wow, what a lot of reading. Psychology 101, I read it cover to cover. Most people who have psychology degrees have never and will never read a college textbook like that cover to cover. So I have some education, psychologically speaking, than some people with psychology degrees don't. And I'm not saying that to be braggadocious or anything like that. What I'm saying is I'm trying to motivate all you people to fucking read more. So many people with college degrees, they've never really fucking read, man. Probably most people, they've never fucking read. They've never read a book that has 7, 8, 9, 1,000 pages. 1,000 pages. I know 1,000 and 1,000 are the same thing. If anybody wanted to be a whatever. Like I say, this is my sermon. Like, share, subscribe. Donate to my money. I'm going to start a church. I'm going to figure out a way to become an ordained minister and start a church and start preaching the Bible my own way. I don't want to start a new religion because that's happened so many times here in America, over and over again. America doesn't need any more religions. We need to clean up the religions that we have. Modern day Christianity, especially American Christianity, which I've seen and experienced firsthand, is absolutely disgusting how anti-biblical it is. They would say I'm blaspheming. When I was locked up, the Bible, for many years of my life, the Bible was like, what can you describe for it? The Bible was like my identification card. I was more likely to have a Bible on me than have my ID on me. The Bible is my foundation book. And I didn't just read it cover to cover when I was 18. I've been messing with the Bible my whole life. First book I started messing with. But at some points in my life, I used Bible paper as rolling paper to smoke weed. For a long time, I was studying Jehovah's Witness stuff. And Jehovah's Witness Bibles, certain Bibles they have these little black Bibles. Their main Bible, the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. Their main little Bible that we would get in prisons and jails. Real thin black Bible, but the papers, they look literally like zigzag papers. Like the way rolling papers used to look, zigzag papers, JOB papers. They look exactly like that. Little thin invisible lines, everything. And I used to roll I probably still got that Jehovah's Witness Bible with me. But we had cut so many pages out to smoke joints of it. This was mostly in jail. This is the Bible I had while I was in prison. And when we would get weed in there, I'll roll little joints with that Bible paper. And I would get high and I would read the Bible. Most Christians would say that's blasphemous. But most Christians have access to Bibles their whole life and they'll never read it. But they'll tell a 20-year-old man who's read the Bible cover to cover and still reads it actively every day that he's doing something wrong with the Bible because he's smoking weed in it. No, I'm not saying smoke weed with your Bible. I'm not saying that that's okay. But I will say this, in my opinion, it's better to smoke weed in Bible papers than to have a Bible and never read it. It goes from the store to your possession to the dumpster to the landfill, barely have been read. Who has blasphemed that Bible more? Which is more of a waste of paper? Which would God be more disappointed with? Those really are questions because I'm not answering them. I don't know anything. I don't know everything. I do know a lot. I studied a lot. And the book of Proverbs tells you to study. Knowledge is more valuable than anything. It's more valuable than knowledge. Knowledge and wisdom are the most valuable things. You want to become a man of understanding. That is the utmost thing to know, do, become. And that's kind of a mix of Bible study and the homies that I came up with in Chicago, the brothers of the struggle. GD. GD means God. A lot of Jews, and I'm a Messianic Jew these days, but a lot of Jews, they don't say God. They don't say any name that they think might be God. They say GD. Because God's name to some Jews, to many Christians, and to many variations of Judeo-Christian religions, a lot of us believe that God's name is so holy that we shouldn't even utter it. And there's a debate on if that was also the case for Jesus in his time. If even speaking the name of the Father God in heaven was so blasphemous that was a capital crime. And maybe that's why Jesus was really crucified. Maybe that's really the blasphemy that he committed. Did he actually utter the name? Or is it like the Bible says? This is a debate and a discussion amongst biblical believing scholars. But anyway, there's no universal Christianity. And it probably never was. If Christianity is the real religion, first of all, Judeo-Christian teachings believe that most of humans that are part of creation will not go on to heaven or another life after death. For most humans that are created on this earth is their time. You only get one shot. And then 144,000 people get to go on to heaven with Yahweh or the God the Father. Now, I am of the school that believes the holy name shouldn't be uttered, but I also believe Yahweh, which is what many people believe is God's name, Jehovah God's name. They believe the closest to that we could say is Yahweh. But I believe it's lost. We don't know the name of Hebrew is a lost language. So why would we be able to say what the Hebrew God's name sounded like to the Hebrews? And God never told his name. He don't have a name. You know what I'm saying? When according to the Hebrew scriptures and the Christianity legend, Moses, the founder of the modern day religion, the guy who was given the Ten Commandments and who led the Israelites out of Egypt captivity back to the homeland, Moses, the first time he met God, the creator of the universe, he asked God what your name is. Or maybe it was the second time, I'm not 100% sure. But in one of the early meetings that God had with Moses, Moses asked God, what's your name? Which doesn't make any sense. If God the Father is the very first being that ever existed, why would he need a name? You name things when they come in multiplicity. You give them an individualized name if it's more than one. If the creator of the universe is the first and the beginning, the first and the last, he has no name. But all names are his name. So anyway, he tells Moses in the Hebrew language, I am that I am. Which is his name, I am that I am. Basically, nigga, I'm everything, nigga. I don't have no name, nigga. Oh, so yeah, this is why my Bible study will be called Blasphemous Bible Study. Because I will curse from time to time. And I don't encourage cursing or profanity. But a couple things. One, I believe there are probably quote-unquote curse words in the Hebrew Bible. You know, when you actually read the Bible, it's so many vulgar stories. You know, we talk about Sodom and Gomorrah. That's a story, that's a very explicit story about sodomy. Very graphic story. 2 angels visit a town to check it out and see if there are any good souls there, and all the men of the town come and try to rape those angels. Sodomy. They try to anally rape these angels. That's what the word Sodom comes from. That's where we get the word Sodom from. Sodomy. Sodomize. And that's in the book of Genesis. That's the very first book of the Bible. Sodom and Gomorrah. I do believe so. Like, share, subscribe to my Blasphemous Bible study. This will be episode 1. And I will continue to do this. I know I look rough today. But that's the problem of this modern age we live in. Everybody has to look perfect, has to be filmed from the right angle, has to have the right lighting, has to have makeup on. Why should I respect you and you're not even as good looking as me? Why should I respect you? You don't make as much money as me. Well, you know, first of all, you should respect any and everybody. Again, this is something that I learned from the Bible and from the GDs. One of the very first, GDs have rules, and one of the most important rules is the rule of respect. You even respect your enemies. And that comes from military training anyway, period. Respect your enemies. Only a fool would refuse to learn from his enemies. That's great wisdom. Knowing that great wisdom puts you in a position that you can recognize these. Remember, majority of people are idiots. The Bible says that. The very first book of the Bible, Genesis 1. God created humans on the 6th day when we look at the story of creation. And I'm going to repeat this a few times because it takes, there's this misinformation that Adam and Eve were the first people in the Bible. And that's where we live. We are in the dawn of the information age. But the sea of information that we swim in is mostly disinformation. And that's where Christianity is right now. That's where Judaism is right now. That's where Islam is right now. That's where all the Abrahamic faiths are right now. On most key issues, most of these religions disagree with each other. When you look at wars, you have Muslims, Islam against Islam. You have Christian against Christian, Jews against Jews. Those are the frontline wars. We all fighting. It's funny that atheists say that war comes from religion, as if they didn't have wars before religion. So again, God created, according to the Bible, God created humans on the 6th day. He rested on the 7th day. Then he came back and he created Adam, the first Hebrew. And Adam was different from these first humans that he created on the 6th day. He created humans on the 6th day and he gave them 3 commandments. Be fruitful and multiply, subdue and dominate the earth. And what was the other commandment? Oh yeah, be vegetarians. And they might have some more commandments than that, but he didn't give those first humans he created on the 6th day, he didn't give them the 10 commandments. And he didn't give Adam and Eve the 10 commandments either. He gave them different assignments and commandments. He personalized their assignments. He walked with Adam.
1 mile
and he
ahead,
talked with
stay
Adam.
on South Carolina 72 West Ring Road as it turns left.
And Adam was a creation of, Adam, according to the Bible, was a clone Eve was a clone of Adam, but she still didn't listen to Adam anyway. Adam told Eve that he talked directly to God, but she wasn't, and she listened to the snake. So women come from men. You know, there's that question, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Well, the fucking chicken. It's a stupid ass question. The fucking chicken comes from the... If you're talking about a chicken egg, well, a chicken egg came from a chicken. What came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first, male or female? Well, male always comes first. Male creates life. We create sperm. Women create receptors for life.
0.3 miles ahead.
An unfertilized egg is not alive.
It turns left.
It's just dead cells off of a living organism. Still living while it's on that organism. But once it breaks away from that cell, it's not alive. However, men, we create sperm. And sperm is alive from the moment we create it to the moment it dies.
Stay on South Carolina 72 West Ring Road as it turns left.
South Carolina. I ain't never liked driving in the Carolinas. I got so many bad stories about the Carolinas, and yeah, some of them are dealing with racism. Real racism. Not that I think they staring at me because they racist. You know, you never know why somebody's staring at you, but if you black and you in a place where ain't nothing but whites for miles around and they staring at you, it's safe to assume it's racism. Get the fuck out of there.
3.4 miles ahead. Stay on South Carolina.
It's always better to err on caution.
Broad Street as it turns left.
But these modern day white Christians want black people not to err on the side of caution when it comes to racism, even though racism kills black people. You're more likely to die from racism than you are by struck by lightning, but nobody would tell you to dance outside in the rain in a jacket made out of aluminum foil on a metal roof. But my company wants me to drive in South Carolina, and a nigga from Chicago, a nigga trucker from Chicago was just lynched out here. Maybe, possibly. 50-50 chance he was lynched. 50-50 chance he committed suicide. I'm definitely on the side. He probably didn't commit suicide. Why the fuck would a truck driver commit suicide in the dirt in South Carolina in the wintertime or the summertime in South Carolina? The weather is always nasty outside. I can't remember exactly, but it was bullshit. The main person that want black people to not believe in racism be the one watching that SVU fantasy homicide shit. That makes you stupid. If you watch SVU every day, you think that that's what really the police is like and that's what crime is like. Put you out of touch with reality, and now you live in touch with fantasy. And most people are in touch with fantasy because they live with fantasy most day. So many Americans, and not just Americans, but people all over the world, they watch this fictional TV all day. Or they think about these stories, these fictional stories all day. I've dated many women in my day, and women are great, but we're all idiots. Most people, your head is full of mostly incorrect information, misinformation, disinformation. And there's really no way that we can regulate that. You only know what you know. You can only know what you see, or what you were shown, or what you've been exposed to. You can't think about things that you've never thought about. There's probably a little bit Albert Einstein in everybody. But we don't develop our minds. Thinking ain't sexy. Being smart ain't sexy for some. It's definitely sexy to me. I prefer a sexy, the sexiest woman around for me are going to be smart girls that can keep up with me intellectually. I want to have intellectually stimulating conversations. I want to be with smart girls. Another thing I don't like about the red pill, they're very against educated women. I've dated very educated women. I've dated very uneducated women. I prefer the higher end of the education spectrum. You do have to deal with things that you don't have to deal with. The only advantage of having a dumb girl
1 mile
A dumb,
ahead, stay on
uneducated
South
girl that
Carolina
really needs you
72
for
West South
everything.
Broad Street
The
is it turns left.
only dedication to that is that you might get the loyalty of a dog. You might have a human female that's as loyal to man as a dog is, because I need you. But every dog, dogs turn on people all the time. Dogs turn on people all the time. Especially when that person is abusive and non-empathetic. And that's a big problem these days. People lack empathy. But empathy is a special power. It takes more than knowledge to have empathy. You have to have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
0.3 miles ahead, stay on
Knowledge
South Carolina
is the
72
data.
West South Broad Street as it turns left.
Wisdom is the ability to use that data correctly, understand it, analyze it, put it together, and come out with greater outcomes. Understanding, anyway, I'm driving right now, so I'm focusing on the road, and I'm driving a place. I'm in South Carolina. I'm not familiar with South Carolina. I don't like being here. As a trucker, especially an over-the-road trucker, you got to always be ready to go someplace that you've never been before and that you don't want to go during the time that you don't want to go there. Rain, sleet, snow, sun, those are the scariest times to drive, but driving in those scary conditions is what gives you the experience and the muscles to do it. And not all the time you'll have the opportunity to legitimately drive in horrible conditions. So if and when your company tells you to drive in horrible conditions and they willing to pay for the insurance, they willing to do all the, take those opportunities. Life is about risk. This is one reason that young men should join the military. So that one of these days in life, you might have to jump out of the airplane with a parachute.
16.9 miles ahead, take US 221
If
south.
and when that day comes, wouldn't it be much better if this was something that you could do willingly, a practice run, as opposed to having to do it under extreme duress, blood pressure racing, your heart racing, you're unexperienced and you're about to die? Join the military while you're young, because you might become a felon and lose your opportunity to join the military when you really want to do it, even if they desperately need you. I kept trying to join the war. I kept trying to join the military during the Iraqi war while I was on probation. I was on probation early. I got on probation. I got on felony probation. I called a felony at 18. I was locked up till I was 19 and got out on probation. So by the time I was serious enough to join the military, it's too late. I'm already a convicted felon. A felon at 18. And when you're a felon at 18, you set yourself up for this. Especially if, like me, the justice system is messed up. Most of my convictions are false convictions. Or false conviction ain't the right thing. The right thing to say is if the facts was actually looked at my case properly and I had proper legal representation, I would have been innocent, and the people that were going against me would have been the guilty ones. This is a negative thing about being a black man in America. You're already extremely disadvantaged in court. Money is the great equalizer. If you have more money than average and you can afford to pay for those hours for people to work on your case, you're at advantage, slightly. I think America is still more racist than it is capitalist right now. But both of those things are a hindrance. Everything in life is a gift and curse. Being born poor and being born rich are great disadvantages in different directions. There's a stupid ass song that says more money, more problems. There's a lot of truth to that. But that truth is coming from somebody who's never had no money. That truth is coming from somebody who's probably never gone a day or 2 or 3 or 4 without eating. Going so long without eating that they're starting to get all kind of physical signs and weaknesses and different things. Read a chapter of Proverbs a day, every day, to gain wisdom which will lead to understanding. And nothing is more rewarding than thus, saith thou. Yeah, my company is going through something, and I'm a type of employee, I go through something with the company, but like I say, this company, I signed up, I was looking for a Southwest regional position. I signed up for this company thinking they had a Southwest regional position, and they still got ads say they hired for Southwest. That's what I applied for. I ended up getting hired on as a South Mid-South driver, but there's still a list of states I'm supposed to drive in. The Midwest and the Southwest. That's what I signed up for. That's what I've been hired for. I've been driving mostly in the Southeast. And I would even be cool with that if we're talking about Texas. I live in Texas. I don't even live in East Texas. But if I was in Texas regularly, I'd be cool. Or if I give more options. I got a son that kind of lives east. You have me driving around that city, I'll be cool. But just have me out in the middle of nowhere, and then sometimes I might go 3, 4, 5, 6 days without a load. At least if I was homeless living in my car, I could do Uber when and where I decide to. And even if the Uber app is acting up, I got my car, I can go hustle. When I'm in this big ass truck, what the fuck can I do? I can't work on my businesses, my internet business and all that, but fuck that. I'm working on my internet business right now. Like, share, subscribe. Help me get out this truck so that I can help you people. Why explain the game? Niggas ain't listening. Stuck in position. The victims can't stand the heat. They need to get the fuck out the kitchen. That's an old Tupac lyric right there. What song is that? In life we live as thugs. Everybody's fucking with us, so can't you see? Hard to be a man, riding with my gun in hand. Why explain the game? Niggas ain't listening. Stuck in position. We victims can't stand the heat. Can't take the heat. Get the fuck out the kitchen. Tupac always been my favorite artist. But that's something I was listening to as a young man. It's crazy that people want to be thugs, man. I want you to be thugs too, nigga. I want you to experience what I experienced, nigga. Every wannabe thug, you go from being a wannabe gangster to a don't wannabe gangster. Ain't no such thing as a wannabe gangster. Because if you're a wannabe gangster, you gon' be a gangster. You are gonna be a gangster. Or you're a perpetrator. No such thing as a wannabe. You're gonna be or a perpetrator. And then when you finally get there, are you gonna want to stay a gangster? My teeth are still crooked at the bottom from getting kicked in the mouth in 7th grade. Being jumped and smacked by the police as a juvenile. So that makes you red pill niggas, bitch ass niggas, for disrespecting those children that have made it through that. Those grown men who made it through that. And don't give me that, oh no, when I say Pookie and Ray Ray, I mean the wannabe gangsters, the wannabe thugs, the ones that act like they're really from that type of poverty. Who the fuck are you to judge? If you would even use the term Pookie or Ray Ray, you have a God complex and so much disrespect and contempt for some of your fellow human beings, you really just need to shut the fuck up. Go meditate somewhere. Niggas talking about little niggas from the hood, and they had to grow up in those neighborhoods as little babies, and you wouldn't go those places as a grown-ass man, as a grown-ass alpha male. You wouldn't go places that these kids grow up in and they have to walk to school or catch public transportation to some of these neighborhoods that cops that are assigned to those neighborhoods are nervous as fuck every time they go in. And don't give me that bullshit. Well, of course, if you're from there, it's less scary than if you're not from there. A 5, 6, 7-year-old, yes, he is less scared of the hood than the 30-year-old cop. the 30-year-old white cop or black cop. But if anything, you should feel sorry for that 5, 6, 7-year-old that lives in this neighborhood where it's always going down, gunshots and bodies are falling all around them every day. If you don't see it, you probably hear it. And you can't help but hear it and see it sometimes. That's us as a society. And now I say us as me as a man who's an American taxpaying citizen who spent most of my life as a professional driver. I made it to this point in life. But I still got to worry about some 20-year-old punk who will call me a pookie. By the time I was 20, this 20-year-old punk still lived with his mama. By the time I was 20, I had probably done more for my mama financially than the other way around. That's ridiculous to say. But, you know what I'm saying? I come from a different environment. I'm cut from a different cloth. I was helping my mother with money way earlier than I was supposed to. And I don't blame my mama or knock my mama for that because we worked to get out of poverty together. And if you've been in poverty and worked your way out of poverty, you're going to probably be less judgmental to judge somebody doing whatever they feel they need to do to eat when their options to eat aren't up to their standards. They don't have a parent or a guardian or a community that will feed them without fucking them. I gotta add that. And again, that's what will make my Bible study blasphemous. But why should I sugarcoat? Why should I not say the word fuck talking about somebody getting fucked? I'm not sugarcoating language, period. English language is a blasphemous language anyway. I'm descendant of American slaves. I get to say whatever the fuck I want to say about America. Ain't that about a bitch? These main bitches that got something to say about freedom of speech don't want black people complaining about racism. Eat a log of shit. Blasphemous Bible study. Eat a log of shit. How the fuck are you as a white person gonna tell a descendant of slaves to not exercise their freedom of speech? I can complain about racism all the fuck I want to. And if I look at it so negatively that it's holding me back from progress, well, that's on me. Leave me the fuck alone. It's a disservice to tell these young black children, especially young black male, there's no more racism in America. America's colorblind. Nah, nigga. Racism ain't what it used to be, and it seems to be getting better every single year. We took a couple steps back with this Trump administration and all of the people that surround him, and a lot of white supremacists have made some fucking gains, unbelievable gains since the 90s. It's been back and forth. White supremacy ain't never been knocked out in America, and it's never not been safe. Them were the first terrorists in America, legally speaking, definitionally speaking, any way you slice it. White supremacists were the first American terrorists, and they're still the most active and most powerful American terrorists. Anybody who minimizes that, there might be some innocence there if you run across these people who are like, don't talk about race and don't talk. Race is still an issue. Unarmed black men are still the most likely to get murdered and shot by cops. And they'll shoot unarmed black women second. More white men do get shot by cops, but those white men usually have a gun pointing at cops. And sometimes cops still don't shoot white men that are armed aiming guns at them. And there's so many videos proving my point. And there'll be videos recorded in the next 365 showing the same shit. There's so many institutionalized spaces that are infested with racism in America that it ain't funny. I mean, it's funny to some people. Most Americans, probably more Americans will laugh at it than to cry about it. But I think most Americans, even more Americans, the largest group of Americans are numb to it. Racism is just a part of the fabric of America. And compared to most countries, it's pretty impressive what we've done and what we're doing. Again, like I say, this Donald Trump shit, this MAGA shit, it's a step back. But right now, America's still the #1 country to believe in to make this shit better. I believe in the Bible and I believe in millennialism. And that's how we're going to end this Blasphemous Bible study. I'm going to have, hey Siri, what is millennialism?
Millennialism or chillism is a belief which is held by some religious denominations. Would you like to hear more?
Yes.
According to this belief, a messianic age will be established on earth prior to the last judgment in the future permanent state of eternity. Christianity and Judaism have both produced messianic movements which featured millennialist teachings, such as the notion that an earthly kingdom of God was at hand. These millenarian movements often led to considerable social unrest.
So millennialism. Millennialists believe that before the Messiah can return to earth has to have 1,000 years of peace. And it's easy to believe that we're beyond that phase, the 1,000 years of peace. It seems like Christianity has kept the world at peace. The last 1,000 years of humanity have been more peaceful than any other time that we know of historically. Right now, the world is safer than it's ever been. You got so many liars saying the opposite is true. But just like with the Bible, so many people say that things in the Bible are true and they're not. Most people who preach the Bible lie about the Bible constantly. And if I preach the Bible regularly, I'll probably lie about it the most. I ain't gonna say the most, but what do I know about the Bible? I live in the 21st century. Can I really, as much as I've studied and read, can I really conceptualize what it was like being a Hebrew 7,000 years ago? Or, here's something too, the Bible's so incomplete. The Bible don't tell you everything. When you read the Bible, when you finish reading the Bible, you end up with more questions than answers. But you do know how to ask these questions a little bit differently now that you have the knowledge of the Bible. But to read the Bible as a believer, and I've gone back and forth. When I finished reading the Bible, it tested my faith, changed my religion. I've gone through stages of agnosticism and atheism even. I haven't spent much time in atheism, but I have had that shadow over me at several times in my life. So I believe in millennialism.
2 miles ahead.
Like, share, subscribe.
21 south.
This Blasphemous Bible study is just something I'm going to do on my YouTube channel for a while. Something I've been wanting to do for years. And, a lot of people tell me not to call my Bible study blasphemous. Because, of course, blasphemy is the unforgivable sin. In the New Testament, people ask Jesus, what is the unforgivable sin? And he tells them blasphemy is the unforgivable sin. And that's so much to talk about there and go into there and everything. One of the main reasons people tell me not to call my Bible study blasphemous is because who would attend my Bible study if it's blasphemous? That's the only unforgivable sin. Well, check this out. So I believed that I've committed blasphemy before. One time, out of anger, after my uncle passed, I was so mad. I was going to a Christian school at the time. And somebody came to me and they was just talking to me with some girl. And we was at the church. The Christian school was on the church property. And the little girl was saying something to me and she was talking to me about God. And I don't know if they knew how mad I was about my uncle or not, but either way it go, I just said, F God. I was probably about 15, 16. I was at least 16. Yeah, I'm sure I was at least 16. My uncle died right before my 16th birthday, but I'm pretty sure I was 16 already. I was like, F God. Yelled it real loud right there on school in the middle of this church parking lot. That's blasphemy. Now, I've talked to a pastor who since told me that wasn't unforgivable blasphemy. And I was skeptical about it when he told me, but I've come to understand that really is true. One, there's several ways to justify that. One, I think I already talked in this video about how we don't really know the name of God. Cast not your pearls amongst the swine, they'll only trample them under your foot. You shouldn't tell your enemies your God's name because they're going to only disrespect it. But also that cast not your pearls amongst the swine. Cast not your pearls amongst the swine, they'll only trample them underfoot. Another thing about that saying right there,
7.3 miles ahead, turn right on US 25 North bypass.
It does refer to the sperm of us men. Don't just have sex and your semen. Semen is also known as pearls. In sexual talk, sexual speaking. Sexually speaking, pearls is known as semen. Think of the term pearl necklace. If you give a girl a pearl necklace, you ejaculate your semen on her neck. That's what the term pearl necklace means amongst the sexual, as a sexual term, pearl necklace. That's what it means. The slang, pearl necklace. And we could talk much more about that. But anyway, cast not your pearl amongst the swine. Don't just throw your semen away. Semen is valuable. Our sexuality as men is valuable. When you get good at sex, to give a woman an orgasm, it's usually on us men. Last time I slept with this baby mama that I spoke about earlier, the last time we slept together, she got mad because she didn't orgasm, and she was yelling in front of my son, I didn't even orgasm. And she wasn't just yelling this in front of my son, she was yelling this to her sister in front of my son and me. And my son was definitely, since was probably 6 or 7 at the time. So, talk about entitled. This isn't the first, that's not the first time she showed me that she was entitled to my money and my body. But that was the very last time. There was only one response to that. There was only one reasonable response to this woman yelling at me. I didn't even come. And all the other things that she was yelling, complaining. There was only one response to that. Well, we'll never have sex again. Don't worry about it. And I'm saying this, and you saying this in front of everybody? Well, I'm saying this in front of everybody. And everybody know I don't lie. Even my enemies will say that I'm not a liar. I mean, dead right enemies that are locked up in prison for murder who have tried to kill me. I would bet money that these niggas would be like, no, I don't know that nigga to be a liar. I don't know that nigga to be a liar. Nah, that nigga ain't got no reputation for lying. Even in I mentioned I had 3 bogus domestic violence cases. Even in those situations, those girls wouldn't say that I'm a liar. They would say he's lying this time, and they might even have some game ready for that. He known for telling the truth, but let me tell you why he lying. In my cases, please look into them. Shit. Ooh, I can't wait to write my life story. Somebody needs to give me $1 million book deal. Real talk. So I'm going to wrap up Blasphemous Bible Study. We're a little bit over an hour. I'm going to try to keep these at an hour. Like, share, subscribe. You want to donate money to me and my church. My adult church. My church is for adults. I might designate a child minister. I got a son that's at that age. But now I'm thinking about some shit. Anyway, Like, share, subscribe. Help me get out of this truck so that I can start giving game to the young people, man. From a blue pill perspective. It's time for us to bury this red pill. We done already got a red pill president. The red pill done surpassed red pill rights have surpassed black pill rights. And really, of course they would, because red pill rights really are white male rights. That's really what the red pill is. It's really about white men. Guys like me are intertangled in it because I have so many similar interests with the white male population. I'm a taxpaying American citizen. I'm a hardworking American. Work 60, 70 hours. Most of my money goes to people who don't give a fuck if I sleep today, if I eat today, and it's been like that most of my life. That's the burden of a man. That's the man's burden. It is true. You know, these motherfuckers, the stupid ass red pill motherfuckers, you know, they say black pastors don't like to wrap it up. Here it go. Here go the extra. Here go the extra content. You know, these motherfuckers, they talk about, I was going to say something about the red pill dudes. What was I going to say? Them motherfuckers always bitching about everything. Every damn thing. They bitch about everything. But they're the biggest hypocrites. Point one finger, you got 3 pointing back. Everything they bitch about, they the worst at. Biggest bullies in the world. Here's a great thing that the red pill say. Women should never talk back to a man because a man can whoop their ass. However, men should never get emotional that they ready to fight over words. So this is a way to protect their bitch asses. Men should be too civilized to fight each other, but be ready to threaten a woman with a backhand. Because if it's the case that a woman should never talk back to a man because he can whoop her ass, that's saying two things. One, if a woman can whoop a nigga ass, she can talk to him any kind of way he wants. Is that what you're saying? And two, a man should never speak back to a man that can whoop his ass. That takes money out the equation, and it makes Mr. Moneybags, not the alpha, it makes Mr. Beat your ass and take your money bag, Mr. Alpha. I went to prison for robbery. So wouldn't that technically make me above every red pill money bag alpha on the food chain? I went to prison for a robbery I committed at 18, and now I'm 47, about to be 48. If I decided to become a robber again, with all the training and work experience I have over the years, especially mostly working blue collar, wouldn't I be a better robber these days? I know how to read and write blueprints, certified welder, Class A CDL, done all kind of shit. And all kind of trucking, almost any kind of, not almost any, it's too many truckings to imagine. But I've been a garbage man, flatbed driver, rollback driver, tanker driver, pneumatic tanker driver.
Right on US 25 North Bypass 72 Northeast.
I'm EPA certified. A lot of red pillars, they don't like the EPA. The EPA stands for Environmental Protection Agency. To be an HVAC worker, heating, ventilation, and air conditioner worker, you got to be HVAC certified because you got to work with all these chemicals that have CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, which are ruining the ozone layer. They were killing the ozone layer, but because the EPA made guys like myself get certified if we was going to work on HVAC, and you got to have this certification to even buy this coolant or work with this coolant. We've repaired the hole in the ozone layer. I'm 10 minutes away from my final destination. So I really am finna wrap up this Blasphemous Bible study. I'm not even pulling a trailer today. My company is going through some changes, but they've been screwing me over this entire time, as I already complained. I done complained to them several times. The number one definition of a bitch, in my opinion, is to complain about something that only you have the right to fix, with no intention of actually fixing it yourself. You just complaining about it so that the person that you bitching to will reach in their pocket and solve all your problems. Or you talking to a man
1 mile ahead, turn right
like
on
he's a
US
bitch.
25 North Bypass 72 Northeast, then turn left.
Thank God I'm only Bob telling today. That's another reason I could do this Bible study while driving. As a tractor-trailer driver, sometimes Bob telling could be a little bit too easy. That's why you don't want to have things to be too easy. When things are too easy, you tend to do things without paying full undivided attention. You take it for granted. That's the times that it's most likely to have an accident. I remember when I was dating this girl, this was oh man, this is a good story. One of the wealthiest girls I ever met, who she really wasn't wealthy, her dad was wealthy, but she was the oldest child, and at that particular stage, she was in college at the time, at that particular stage in her life, she was I need to talk about that story later, but she almost had an accident because she was paying me too much attention while she was driving. Me and her made eye contact, and she almost wrecked. But that's because she had been...
Right on Gateway. Miles ahead, turn right on Evans Pond Road.
My navigation is trying to make me turn down the street that says no trucks. So I'm going to take a break for a second. And I'm going to wrap up this Blasphemous Bible study. I've been paying mostly attention to my driving because that's my duty and my responsibility. It's another reason young men should join the military, so that you could get that feeling of duty in your heart, know what it feels like, know what it is. These young men been playing that video game Call of Duty. That ain't gonna really show you the way. You need to join the military. You need to have a right heart, man. Another reason I hate the red pill so much is because they corrupt young men's hearts. The main message of the red pill is nice guys finish last, so don't be nice. That's stupid, immature, primitive thinking at best. Imagine if I took the red pill. So I read the Bible cover to cover. That was my penance for my penitentiary days. But imagine if instead of reading the Bible, I took the red pill and I followed the advice of people like Kevin Samuels or Rollo Tomasi or any of these guys with these horrible pimp mentalities. These pimp mentality, these bully mentality. And every pimp is really a bully. Show me a bully at best. Because nobody wants their daughter pimped or their mama pimped, but they'll pimp somebody else's mama or somebody else's daughter. So I say at best, because at worst you might have some niggas that'll pimp their mama, pimp their daughter, pimp their sister. And the nigga that'll pimp his daughter, man, you know what I'm saying? If you'll pimp your daughter, you'll probably fuck your daughter. You get her to sell sex and look at sex that frivolously, what's going to keep you from fucking your daughter? And it happens every day. And these will be the things I talk about in Blasphemous Bible Study, because these are real stories. You don't have to believe me. Look it up. Google search that right now. I could name you some names. I can't off the top of my head, even though I could think of some cases. Like there was one Hebrew Israelite who got caught up trying to impregnate his daughters and make the perfect race. But again, so many white men have done it. I shouldn't say, I don't feel good and comfortable saying black men done it. Don't talk about a black case I know. I know that personally because it affects me personally. I was a Hebrew, consider myself a Hebrew Israelite at one time. So it hurt me to hear about that case. But that dude built a pyramid in America. Can't think of his name, but so many cases of dudes abusing their daughters. I've dated women who have told me they've experienced this, or I've picked up that they've experienced this. And I've studied this in psychology. I read a psychology 101 textbook cover to cover. So this is not new. But also, hell, in the Bible, the story of Noah, his daughters tried to get pregnant by him. I think it was Noah. It might have been Lot. It was somewhere in that area. Definitely verify me on that story. But anyway, Blasphemous Bible Study 1. Signing out. Like, share, subscribe if you think I should do this. I'll work on that proverb a day problem project I was working on before. But the main message of that project is read the Proverbs yourself. I'm not even sure. I know I said that in at least one of those videos I made. If I read it for you, that does nothing for you. You can lead a human to knowledge, but you can't make them think.